In this video, we will be tasting and talking about two different batches of Lugu competition Dong Ding Oolong Tea. We're here tasting two separate batches of Lugu competition Dong Ding Oolong Tea, a selection that we officially started offering some months ago after initially offering it to the ecochateas tea club. We decided that it is a meaningful and valuable type of tea to represent, given that the Lugu Farmers Association is the largest oolong tea competition in Taiwan and, as far as we know, in the world, with over 5 or even up to 7,000 entries per competition at its peak. It's gone down in the last few years. It has been a flagship for tea competitions here in Taiwan, in effect for over 40 years, mostly developed by our tea mentor and best friend, Tony Lin. That's been the main aspect of his career, from which he just retired about a year and a half ago. We know a lot about this competition. I helped Tony translate this book, which introduces the Farmers Association and their involvement with the tea industry in Lugu Township, Nantou County, Taiwan. I took this out because I'm going to refer to how they judge the leaves and the tea in competition. So our friend, who is a big competition player, pretty much consistently has batches of tea to offer us that have either been entered into competition or he decided to not enter them into competition for various reasons. They are definitely competition grade, and he basically just has to decide how they are going to perform at a given time and be able to reach his goal of ranking high in the grading system. He has consistently ranked high over many years, including third place prize out of over 6,000 entries. So he's a serious player. The first batch that we represented, that we shared with the tea club, he ended up not entering into competition because he felt like it needed to rest, basically, before it was mellowed enough in its roast factor. And we procured it from him about a half a year later, and he felt, as well as we did, that it definitely was within the spectrum of being a competition quality in terms of reaching the quality standard of the Farmers Association competition. The second batch is significantly a lighter roast. They're both spring 2021, sourced from the Alishan region in Meishan Township, Jiayi County. And there was just two different batches of tea roasted to slightly different levels. The one that we just recently procured and are about to offer was entered into competition and received 3 Plum Blossom prize. That's about the top third of all entries in the competition. There's basically first place, top 10 following the first place, top category prize, which is the top 2%, and then there's second category, about the top 8%, third category within the top 16%, I believe, or definitely within 20%, and then 3 Plum Blossoms, top third, 2 Plum Blossoms within the top 45 to 50%. More than half of the entries are now disqualified. So it's fairly strict standards that are followed here. They want to keep their standards high in order to make the competition grade teas a valued product. Okay, so having said all that, on my left I brewed 6 grams of the previous batch of tea for 2 minutes twice. And I'm just going to have a smell now. The cups are still warm but have cooled down significantly. Very rich, hearty roast. It's so satisfying once that, the first brew, when I brewed it, it still had a lot of roast in the freshly brewed leaves. And after the second brew, and now that it has cooled down, it's much mellower, more substantial overall in its aromatic profile. Yum. roasted yams, sweet. Much different. More of a fresh, vibrant aroma, some pine, a little bit of fruitiness. Definitely a lesser roasted tea, and we knew that upon tasting it. We had a choice on our second procurement of 2 batches, and the third batch, which we decided not to get at this juncture at least, was even lighter. So we have most roasted, middle roasted, and then there was a lighter batch, which was really nice. It was much more delicate, a little bit lighter overall in its flavor profile, but the aromatic profile was really special. And that's definitely an aspect of how the leaves are judged. I'm gonna read from this book so that I get it correctly. The way that the leaves are assessed is they first look at the dried leaves, the appearance of the dried leaves. That accounts for 20% of the assessment. Then they look at the color of the brewed tea and the clarity and transparency of it. That's 10%. The aroma of the brewed leaves is 30%, and then the flavor of the brewed tea is 40%. So 20% for the dried leaves appearance, 10% for the color of the brewed tea, 30% for the aroma of the brewed leaves, and 40% for the flavor of the tea. This book has everything you need to know about how this competition was created, including the processing of Dong Ding Oolong Tea and more. We wish we could encourage the Farmers Association to get it online in PDF format, but we haven't succeeded, and now Tony's retired. Not sure if that's gonna happen. Let's get on with, I'm gonna do this one more time because it smells so good. Almost chocolatey, something like chocolate coffee, dark roast. Much more fresh, piney, fruity, with some roasted character in the aromatic profile. And we can see from the brewed tea that the previous batch is indeed darker. Both are nice and transparent, but our previous batch was more roasted. And that's part of why we are inspired to offer these now on a consistent or on a continual basis, to see that it's not just one flavor profile that can be ranked highly in the competition. They are ranked for their overall composition and performance given the breakdown of assessment that I just shared. So it's not just, a very specific flavor note or flavor profile. They can taste differently and still both rank in the higher ranking awards. Very nice, nutty, roasty, sweet. It definitely is mellowed. I think it's actually reaching its peak about now. For any of you who still have some of the first batch of the competition Dong Ding Oolong, including the batch that we shared with the tea club, if it's open and allowed to sit for a few months, it will improve in terms of being a more well-rounded flavor profile. The new arrival. Yeah, much lighter overall in its character. Sweeter, more fruity, definitely more complex. Lighter and more complex. Those two kind of go together in my personal experience at least. A heartier tea, especially if it's a heavy roast, is what it is. It's robust, it's hearty, it's bold. And if you brew it lightly, not so many tea leaves, you can get a more complex flavor profile. Second brew, it's not overly roasted at all at this point. Very satisfying. In the nose, as I breathe out, I can definitely get a campfire smoky aspect. The palate is really smooth, really nice mouthfeel. Very well-rounded, very robust. Second brew of the current batch. Just comparatively lighter, sweeter, more vibrancy to it, a little bit more bounce. A slight bit of astringency to make those flavors kind of bounce. I think this will be nice moving into spring. We had the darker roast for the winter months. Now this one is, you know, it's marginally different, but it's definitely noticeably different. There we have it. Lugu Competition Dong Ding Oolong Tea, Spring 2021, sourced from Meishan Township in the Alishan tea growing region. Check them out.